On a warm summer's eve, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with the gambler. We were both too tired to sleep. So we took turns of staring out the window at the darkness. The boredom overtook us, and we began to speak. So last night we lost Kenny Rogers. Now, for me, it's kind of a sad moment because here's somebody that I never met and was just larger than life in his presence and in his energy. He passed away at the age of 81. So for me, a little bit of backstory. I had a childhood. We all had childhoods. But my childhood was that of not getting to actually interact with my real father much, and having many useless male role models in my life to certain points. Okay. So with that said, when I found Kenny Rogers' music as a young kid, you know, The Gambler and The Coward of the County and those songs, they kind of spoke to me, and it was a weird connection that we usually have with certain songs and music and that art form. And that art spoke to me. So everybody knows the Gambler song. Some of the words we don't know correctly, but most of us as a majority that grew up in the 80s and 90s, that song is just kind of there, and definitely is one of those quintessential drinking songs. When we talk about Kenny Rogers and all the projects that he worked on, and all that positive stuff that he brought to the world, and all the kids that he has and whatnot, we have to admit that he took a song, a simple song about riding on a train and meeting a stranger and learning some defining moments or defining information of how to approach life. We then see him take it and make it into movies and into a platform that was almost leading the way for what influencers and people do nowadays, you know, and catchphrases and stuff. So for me, his music spoke to me in a way that you would think or see a father figure doing it. Not that I looked up to Kenny Rogers as like my father, but just the energy and the way his persona was one of many personas and stuff that I took to kind of develop my own ethos on. Okay, so when we look at the song, sorry, I'm trying to not get emotional here, so I keep flicking my nose. The Coward of the County teaches us and taught me that people are going to be dicks. People are going to go at you and go at you and go at you. And you have two options. You can stand up and lose your shit over the simple stuff, or when it's really time to smack someone down, do it right and do it in a manner that is justified, basically. Okay? And if you don't know the song Coward of the County, go listen to it. It's pretty powerful stuff for that country genre. Okay? So Kenny Rogers is gone. He's going to be missed. And for me, it is like losing a mentor that you've never met, like that, you know. And with social media and stuff these days, there's people that have come up to me in the last little bit and said, you know, your energy or your this is helped me. So it's not out of place, these comments or statements. They are kind of relevant to the way the world really works nowadays. Like reading somebody's book and figuring out that what they're saying means to you. Like I read Bruce Lee's books. I read a lot of books, Pavlov's books, all sorts of books. And I imagine you do too as well. Unless you're a YouTube Academy graduate, and that's, you know, you have to see it visually. You're still seeing that work. You're still ingesting that energy that's being transferred through that artwork. So with that said, I'm not going to try to sing the song. I want to. But let's do it as a reading. And this way, there's no screw up with the words. So on a warm summer's eve, on a train bound for nowhere, I met up with the gambler. We were both too tired to sleep, so we took turns of staring out the window at the darkness. the boredom overtook us, and he began to speak. He said, "Son, I've made a life out of reading people's faces, knowing what the cards were by the way they held their eyes. So if you don't mind me saying, I can see you're out of aces. For a taste of your whiskey, I'll give you some advice." So I handed him my bottle, and he drank down my last swallow. Then he bummed a cigarette and asked me for a light, and the night got deathly quiet, and his face lost all expression. He said, "If you're going to play the game, boy, you got to learn to play it right. You've got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, and know when to walk away, and when to run. And you never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing is done. Every gambler knows the secret to surviving is knowing what to throw away and knowing what to keep. Because every hand's a winner and every hand's a loser. And the best that you can hope for is to die in your sleep." And when he finished speaking, he turned back towards the window, crushed out his cigarette, and faded off to sleep. And somewhere in the darkness, the gambler, he broke even. And in his final words, I found an ace that I could keep. You've got to know when to hold 'em, know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. You've got to know when to hold 'em. You've got to know when to fold 'em, know when to walk away, and know when to run. You never count your money when you're sitting at the table. There'll be time enough for counting when the dealing's done. Thank you, Kenny Rogers. Your words, your art, your energy is going to be missed. And the best you can hope for is to die in your sleep. Thank you very much for all you've done and all you've brought to this world. And I hope you're sitting there counting, because your dealing is done, brother.